Welcome to the Waterboy and Equipment Manager podcast. My name is Saif Basaria.
I'm Case Charania.
And I'm Asad Lalani.
Case, how's it feel to go second today?
It feels great. I feel like I'm in the perfect place for this podcast.
Of course you do. Listen, if you haven't noticed already, Shaban is not here on the podcast today. He's taking a break for some work-related thingies. In the meantime, at WBEMPOD, that's WebMPod on Instagram and Twitter, and the Waterboy and Equipment Manager podcast on YouTube. Now, as you're listening to this episode, listener, I assume basketball is now resumed, but while we are recording, basketball has yet to resume. We've had 4 days or so, or maybe a week if you don't count the All-Star festivities, without basketball. Case, how do you feel after these last few days without basketball?
Honestly, no basketball sucks, but I've gotten very into hockey recently, so I watched a lot of hockey.
You lost a lot of hockey. Case, what does that mean?
Well, allegedly, if you invest in certain things,
Sure, yes.
sometimes you win, and a lot of times you lose. And
Yeah.
I've lost a lot with hockey.
Fair enough. Maybe you just
Go
really need
Pens.
basketball to come back. Maybe you should.
Honestly, I can't wait until tonight. Like, honestly, I'm done.
Yeah.
I need basketball. I need that 11 games we have tomorrow.
Also,
I know Asad's itching to get basketball back.
4 days without basketball. How you feel, bro?
Yeah, it's weird. It's been an empty void because usually I come home from work and I have basketball to look forward to. I throw on some league pass and do things for the rest of the night. But now I have no basketball to turn on, and so now I'm just stuck doing my chores. And now we anxiously await for basketball to come back.
I will say the one thing about having no basketball on right now is I've actually been going to sleep at a reasonable time, like a pretty reasonable time. That will stop as soon as basketball resumes tomorrow or whenever you're listening to this, listener. Basketball will have resumed. Today, listener, we're doing bold predictions for the remainder of the NBA season. We have about 23-ish games left in most teams' season, which is about a quarter of the season left. We're looking at a quarter of the season. I believe 7 weeks is the number we've been given, which is quite interesting to some of the news that has come out in the last couple of days. But we're doing bold predictions today for the remainder of the NBA season. We've all come with 2 to 3 bold predictions, and then the other 2 guys will get to react to each bold prediction. As you know on this show, we don't tell each other what we're doing before we hit record, so we haven't told each other. The guys don't know what I have and vice versa. But before we get started, boys, we got some reports. Chris Paul has an issue with his thumb, missing 6 to 8 weeks. Does this matter, Asad?
Yes.
A little bit. I mean, in terms of their potential record and their chance to be the number 1 seed in the West, yes. For their playoff implications and how far they can go in the playoffs, no. I mean, with Chris Paul, they've obviously been the number 1 team in the West, and their chemistry is set. I think they've gotten a lot of reps down with their starters. They've added a few bench pieces, but they've all assimilated into the team very well. So it's not like they need Chris Paul for that. So, maybe in a way, this is kind of good for the Suns, a silver lining where you give Campaign some time to come back. I think he's coming off of his injury and he'll be probably starting for Chris Paul while he's out. So, it gets some of those guys who haven't gotten the chance to handle the ball as much, some more extra reps so that they're playoff ready in the case that they need to be, put into action when the time comes.
No love for Elfrid Payton there, just Campaign.
I thought about Elfrid Payton. I was like, do I want to mention him?
Yeah.
And I was like, he's not. Is he really that important? No.
If you had mentioned him, I would have given you shit, and then you didn't mention him, and I still gave you. It was a losing proposition for you to begin with. If I'm being blatantly honest. Kays, on the other hand of the news, unfortunately, Anthony Day-to-Day Davis, as you like to call him, has once again had an
right
ankle
now it's
injury.
month to month, so
yeah. Well, he suffered an ankle injury right before the All-Star break, rolling off of Kays' favorite player in the NBA, Rudy Gobert.
I want to start this off by saying, fuck Rudy Gobert.
Yes, I think the listeners heard that a lot over the years. But yes, Rudy Gobert, Anthony Davis rolled his ankle off of Rudy Gobert's leg, and now he's missing what we expect to be 4-ish weeks. Is that am I reading that correctly?
So initial estimates 4 to 6 weeks.
Okay.
High mid ankle sprain, something like that. But there's only 6 weeks left in the season.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully it is closer to 4, and he has 2 weeks to kind of just get back into game shape.
Ideally, yeah.
But silver lining here. I'm a very positive individual. Post All-Star Russell
Okay.
Westbrook.
Yeah, I think we're clinging on for dear life, hoping that Russ can turn into the Russ that we hoped he would be when he got to LA.
I'm grasping at straws here. I don't have much left.
Bro, I'm grasping with you. We have no choice but to grasp, right? Like that's all it is. It's either we do well or we don't. LeBron made some interesting comments through the All-Star weekend. I think LeBron went back to Cleveland for All-Star weekend and decided, I'm going to steal the show. I'm going to be everything that everyone wants. And I'm back home, so I get to do what the fuck I want. In doing so, he spoke about his interest to play with his son Bronny when Bronny enters the league, no matter where. We kind of knew this for multiple years. LeBron has talked about this before. For whatever reason, it seemed like a bigger story now than ever before. I don't fucking know why. Usa, do you have any direction on this at all?
No, not really. Yeah, I saw people were going
do.
crazy about it, and I was like, "Bro, he said this
We've
like
known
2
this
years
for
ago. Like,
years.
we've known this. Well, I don't know. Like maybe just people forgot about it or got caught up in the hype of All-Star break and everything that was going on and kind of ran with it. But we've known this. It was bound to happen, and it'll be a really cool moment for the league and very lucrative money-wise for whichever team ends up drafting Bronny.
Do you think well Kays, you had an insight here, and then I'll jump to the next piece I want to talk about. Kays, what do you think?
We started off the podcast by complaining about no basketball.
Yes.
That's why this story is so big. There's no
That's
basketball.
That's probably fair. You know what? You bring up a really good point. Do you think, Kays, that let's say Bronny right now is actually not a lottery projected basketball
No,
pick,
not even close.
right? That's not even a guarantee that he makes the NBA based on the fact that he's not LeBron James' kid, right?
Well,
because
I'd like to say he's guaranteed a spot with LeBron's statement.
well, exactly. That's what I'm saying is obviously LeBron is going to get him a job regardless of whether he deserves one or not. And I'm not here to decide whether he does or not. I don't know. I don't watch high school basketball to that degree or level, so I don't know. But what I am asking is, let's say Bronny is a late first, early second round projected pick based on his ability alone. How much earlier would you take him at the prospect of having LeBron James on his final NBA season, his retirement tour, be on your basketball team? How much more would you
is the
jump?
draft class?
Let's say it's an average draft class that we have. Let's say
so 6 people.
Usually, yeah, like this year's draft class probably had 6 or 7 guys that people were pretty excited about. After that, there was a lot of good players that could or could not be something. So yeah, let's say it was this year's draft class.
Low end lottery.
Low end. So you take him somewhere between like 12 and 14, even if
12
he's
and 14.
Even if he's a 30th projected player.
Simply because you get LeBron.
Yeah.
And what he could teach to your team.
You think he'd give a shit at 40 years old at that point?
I don't even think it's
I think he'd give more of a shit about making everyone else better. So Bronny does better.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I'm leaning towards that route more. I would not jump him into a top 10 pick simply because if you're that bad a team,
yes.
1 year of 40-year-old LeBron is not going to save your franchise.
Sure. So what are your thoughts here?
I don't even think it's so much about basketball than it is about the money and the attention that your team is going to get. If you are a middle to even small market team, and if you're sitting at 7 or 8, and the guys, you could get like a good player who's probably going to be like even like a highest peak a all-star on your team, or you could get Bronny James, get all the attention that's going to come with him, and LeBron on your team. The owners are going to put a lot of pressure on the front office, be like, no, fuck all of that, take Bronny.
Yeah.
Because they want the money.
Could you imagine Indiana drafts Bronny and LeBron's just like, nah, I'm not going.
Well, here's the running theory, okay? Oklahoma City has 1 million picks. And LeBron did this weekend compliment their GM Sam Presti, saying that I thought he was a fucking genius or something along. I'm paraphrasing, but you get the idea. He likes Sam Presti and he thinks he's a good GM. I think most people agree with that statement. Oklahoma City might just be badgering all these picks in the hopes to flip it for Bronny James in 3 years or 2 years time, whatever that may be. And then they get LeBron for 1 year, and that's really good for the economy in Oklahoma City. Why not? You have LeBron James for 1 year.
Yeah. I mean, it's all going to be a money play. For sure, that's the route that majority.
It's a money grab.
Yeah, but I mean, look, we're all gonna watch like every game possible. We're all gonna care. I do really hope that Bronny is good enough to be an NBA player. I hope he's good enough to be an NBA player for multiple years. But we'll see, man. We'll see. We've talked enough about it. I just wanted to have your thoughts on it, so that we can come back 2 years from now, look back and go, oh yeah, look, he was drafted 12th, like Kay said, or whatever. Maybe Kay's Radamus finds his way to do things.
It's Kazocrates.
Kazocrates. My apologies, Kays. All right, boys. Like I said, bold predictions is what the move is today. Let's get Kays to start it off with some super hot fire. Bold prediction number 1 goes to you.
This
Kays.
is more of a medium.
I'll take it.
It's a schmedium. I already kind of introduced it.
Okay.
The Lakers are going to get into a groove. Russ is going to figure it out. LeBron's going to LeBron.
I like it.
Malik Monk's going to be the microwave.
I like it.
And we're going to push into that top 6.
Love it. Great. Sounds like a lot of ifs, but I'll take it.
You got to speak it into existence, bro.
Sure. Right now, just to give you an idea, listener, the Lakers have played 58 games, which means they have, 13 games, 14 games?
24.
I don't know how to do math. I'm sorry. They have like 23, 24 games left in their NBA
24.
season. Yeah, 24. Oh, look at that. Convenient number, I would say. Convenient number. So 24 games left in the NBA season for the Los Angeles Lakers. And they sit, as we speak, 6 games out from the number 6 seed Denver Nuggets. So I would say that's kind of an uphill battle with 24 games left. But if they go 24-0, I feel pretty good about that. I don't know
if they go 24-0. I'll leave. I'll just leave the podcast.
I think if they go 24-0, you and I might not have a heart to beat anymore. It'd probably just explode from excitement. I don't think we'd be alive for the playoff run if there was one after that.
You guys should just take a vacation to a tropical island and just watch the playoffs from there and just celebrate.
Go back to Cancun.
Yeah.
Wait for all the losing teams to come in.
Go to Bora Bora, some remote tropical Pacific island.
No, you go to Cancun, so all the eliminated teams come there.
So I think the best way for us to grade how bold a prediction this is we're going to do it Buffalo Wild Wings style, okay? Not a sponsor. It's going to be mild, medium, hot, and blazin'. Sound good?
Sure.
So based on the Lakers taking a top 6 seed in the Western Conference, you would consider this a mild, medium, hot, or blazin' take?
Blazin', because I think that you guys are just optimistic and somewhat destroyed Lakers fans. And if this, if you guys do not make playoffs, because you're not you still have a half or a quarter season left, so you're not completely destroyed. If the Lakers miss the playoffs, then you will be completely destroyed.
If the Lakers miss the playoffs, I'm gonna be very upset. I'm not gonna lie, I'm be very upset.
The Lakers miss the playoffs, this podcast is over. I'm sorry.
I think this is a blazing take. It's a blazing take. Actually, no, I take that back. It's a mild take where the wings themselves were dunked in water, so they're not even mild. They're less than mild because it's totally gonna happen. But no, it's a blazing take.
Medium.
Yeah, no, it's a blazing take simply because the likelihood of this happening would be slim to none. I'm hoping that you're right, Case, because I would prefer that you were right, but unlikely, I would say. I will go with bold prediction number 2. Funny enough, Case, you played to the seeding, and I also actually am playing to seeding on my first bold prediction. The Boston Celtics, will finish as a top 3 seed in the Eastern Conference. Wow. Now, to give you perspective, listener, they are currently 6th. They would need, they're about 2 games out from a top 3 seed in the Eastern Conference. The top 3 seeds, as you already know, are Miami, Chicago, and Philadelphia, with Cleveland, Milwaukee, and then Boston at 6. Here's why. Since January 23rd, and I picked that date because that was the first 2-game winning streak in a row that Boston had, and since then they've won basically every single game except for 2. Since January 23rd, they have the best defense in the NBA. They allow 97.7 points per 100 possessions in the NBA. The second team in the NBA allows 106.7 points per 100 possessions in the NBA. The difference between the Boston Celtics and number 2 in the league is the difference between number 2 and number 22 in the NBA. They are historically great for the last multiple years. Boston is in the last month or so of basketball. And there's kind of a few reasons why they do that. They went from a switch everything mentality to a switch most things mentality, not everything mentality. And they took Robert Williams off of guarding the NBA center. Now he guards kind of just the corner, whoever the power forward or just corner 3-point shooter is, and allows him to kind of drift in and out. And they put Al Horford on the center, on the who are with the opposing team, basically. Boston's defense is ridiculous, and their offense we know is already good to begin with. They are currently 9-1 in their last 10 games, and they've only lost 2 games in basically a month's time. Boston's been really, really good, and it seems like they're finally understanding the defensive complexities that Ime Udoka, the new coach over there, has implemented. That's one thing that he talked about was it'll take time for them to understand the defensive idea or the ideology that I want to bring to this basketball team. They're starting to make a lot of sense, and they acquired Derek White at the deadline, which obviously we know is a good defender in the NBA. So it seems like they're really buying in, and they're building a roster that makes sense defensively. They let go of Dennis Schroeder. They let go of Josh Richardson. They let go of, Fox CNN News anchor NS Freedom, clown ass. So they've done all this, and they've improved their defense. They look a lot better. And quite frankly, the teams above them have issues, right? We know that Miami is kind of iffy when it comes to health. They've been really good, but they've been unhealthy for the majority of the NBA season. Chicago has dealt with a lot of injuries, and we don't really know what's going on with Zach LaVine or Lonzo or AC, so on and so forth. Philly's got the Harden. What's up?
Well, LaVine's playing now.
Well, we'll see. I'm still
yeah.
a little skeptical on that whole thing because he did have a knee issue and he did have MRI and he saw a specialist. He played in the All-Star game and he played okay.
Which was a promising sign for Chicago.
Yeah, it's a good sign for sure, but who knows? And then Philly has the Harden experiment, which could go well, but it also could just as easily not go well. We don't know. We have to see them play together to make a decision on that situation. Cleveland has been really good all year. Who knows at this point? Milwaukee, again, really good. But with the only 2-game difference between them at 6 and Philly at number 3, I think it's absolutely possible. And that's my prediction here. First, let's start with the wing heat index, and then we'll jump into your thoughts on that bold prediction. K's mild, medium, hot, blazing.
This is blazing.
This is blazing. Okay. And then also give me what you think it is, and then Case, tell me why.
I think it's hot.
Okay. Case, tell me why it's blazing.
Just fuck the Celtics. They had one good month.
It's a really
guess
good
what?
month.
They were on a break. Chemistry is bound to decline.
Why?
Egos are bound to be lifted. And ego ball destroys team ball. They'll stay in the top 6. They won't be top 3.
I have to be honest with you.
Oh no, mine is just straight out of hate. Like, I don't like the Celtics. I don't want to see them succeed. I don't want to see them prosper. Fuck Boston.
Fair enough. I can live with that. Also, you think it's hot. What are your thoughts?
There's a couple pieces to this. So the hot part, which Kay's alluded to, is the ego ball, as he likes to call it. They've been really good and they've been winning games with their offenses because Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown have been hitting their shots and they've been playing well in their ISO ball. When their shots stop going in, they will lose games. And until they make I don't know if it's a drastic change, but they have to make a pretty significant change to get away from playing that kind of play style because it's very hard to play that way and to succeed continuously. So if they keep making their shots, then I think it'll be fine. And I think your prediction might actually come true. But what the interesting thing about this is I was listening to Jason Tatum on the Old Man and the Three. So on JJ Redick and Tommy Slater, their podcast. And, JJ asked, Jason Tatum is like, look, everybody reads, all the NBA players read what everybody says about them, the media, the fans, they watch ESPN, they know what's going on. So obviously this season, and even in past seasons, a lot has been brought up about Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown being traded and being separated. Mm-hmm. So he's like, how do you feel about that? And he was like, me and JB, we talk about that a lot. Like we ask each other like once a week, like, yo, you want to be here? You good? And their answer has been yes. So they know that they both can play together really well because they've shown that. You can see in this past month, they've had good success in the past as well, where they've made Eastern Conference Finals together. So the opportunity for them to go far together is there. They just have to do it consistently. Mm-hmm. And if they can do that with their defense and then with their offense as well, then I think your prediction will come true.
I think for me, the biggest metric was offensively. I think we know that they're a good basketball team. Their ISO ball, I don't love. And I'll agree to your point, Kays and Assad. However, It is effective. They do put up points per game. They are quite good. And more importantly, their defense was a leaky faucet at best. And now it's actually the best in the NBA by a significant margin. That's kind of the point of why my bold prediction is what it is. Anyway, Asad, third bold prediction of the day. What you got?
So unfortunately, our resident Mavs fan is not here. Otherwise, it would have been fun to see his face. But I believe that the Mavs are going to fall into a play-in team. I don't think they're going to keep a top six seed, and here's why.
Oh, look, that just opened up a Lakers spot.
Maybe it did. Maybe it did. Asad, you sure you think it's Blazin now, considering your take combining with Kay's take?
So, I mean, I don't think that I think the Lakers, if they do make it, will also be a play-in team. I don't think they're making a top 6 seed either. So the team right behind the Mavericks are the Nuggets, who are a game and a half behind. Mm-hmm. And they have been playing really, really well without arguably 2 of their top 3 players in Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. So Jamal Murray is expected to come back sometime in the next month. Like, doctors are ready to clear him. They're taking his rehab slowly. They don't want to rush him, too soon. They don't want to mess anything up, but he could be cleared to play as early as next week. And similarly for Michael Porter Jr., his update is a little bit more murky. We don't know exactly when, but it's been said that it's before the regular season ends.
Was he not done for the season? Has that changed?
He's out for the season.
They changed it.
I just want to jump in real quick. Happy birthday, Jamal.
Oh, okay. Very cool. Happy birthday, Jamal. We know you're listening, so thanks for listening and happy birthday.
It's not Torian Prince. He likes it.
Fair enough.
Torian Prince.
But yeah, I know initially he was supposed to be out for season, so you're telling me that has changed the timeline there.
Yeah, the timeline there has changed.
Is that smart? Is that a smart idea?
I mean, you take advantage of the windows. You have a guy who's playing at an almost MVP level, MVP from last year and potential MVP in this year level.
Definitely, yeah.
So you take advantage of that and you do what you can to win a championship, especially when, I mean, things aren't like, there's no dominant, like in the past, obviously you've had the Warriors, right, that have just been absolutely dominant, and that you can't really touch them. But in the last few years, it has not been like that. So you take advantage of that and you do what you can to win a championship. And then I'll lastly say that, because the Mavs are 5, they need to fall down to at least 7. I think the other team that's going to leapfrog them is the Minnesota Timberwolves. And I mean, that might be
Can you explain to me why Dallas is falling out? You've told me about why Denver's good.
Yeah.
Cool. Why is Dallas falling out?
Because I just don't trust anybody on their roster that's not named Luka Doncic. And if teams start giving Luka the James Harden 2015 treatment, where they start double teaming him and they expect other people to make plays and make shots, I have no confidence in Spencer Dinwiddie, Reggie Bullock, or Dorian Finney-Smith, or any of their bigs to do that. So I just think that when Luka stops scoring 49 points and having 14 rebounds and 14 assists a game like he's had for the last 4 games, he's been absolutely superhuman. But I think that's going to come to a close in the rest of the season as teams are making a push for playoffs, and they know that they have to stop Luka, so they're going to send everything at him and make others make plays. And I don't believe that the Mavericks have the capability to do that with this roster.
So here's where I'll say we're going to start with the heat index. So I will say that this is a hot take. I won't go blazing, but I think it's a hot take. The main reason why is because the Mavericks, a big reason for the success since the month of January has actually been their defense, not their offense. They currently, I'm pulling it up, beautiful. Love that I have these stats available to me in front of me. They have the 9th best defense in the NBA. They've been good. And at one point in the NBA, they were in the 20s. Now they're in the top 10 defensively. Do you think that's a faulty situation? Do you believe in the defense at all?
I think somewhat. I mean, being a top 10 defense is impressive, but these next 24 games are going to be really serious, and with a lot of these teams pushing for playoffs. I'm actually curious to see what the remaining strength of schedule looks like for these teams.
I have it.
Nice.
What would you like to know?
What's Dallas's remaining strength of schedule?
They are in the middle of the table, about 18.
Okay.
So slightly
Boston
harder than average
10.
is what we're talking.
Denver's at 25. Minnesota's at 6.
Meaning, so saying that Minnesota has the 6th hardest schedule?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think that's accurate.
I'm looking at it right now, buddy.
No. I'm saying, are you sure you're reading that table right? I think
Their
number
strength
1 would
of
be the hardest schedule. Number one
Yeah,
would be
one
the
is the
hardest. schedule.
hardest. Minnesota has the
25th
sixth hardest.
So 25th, Denver would mean they have the sixth easiest schedule, or sorry,
Yes, sir.
fifth easiest schedule.
Yeah.
Yeah, so let's correct that real quick. Denver
No,
has
I said sixth for Minnesota. They have the sixth hardest.
Yeah, so Denver at 25 would have the fifth easiest schedule remaining.
Seventh easiest.
Sure, yeah. Wait, no, there's 30 teams in the NBA. What are you talking about?
Oh, my bad. I'm working off football.
You're thinking 32 NFL. Yeah, no. We'll leave that to the other Spotlight Sports Network podcast. We're just doing basketball. So, Asad, to give you perspective, Denver, like Kay's just said, has like the fifth easiest schedule. And on the other hand, Dallas has the 13th or so, 12th easiest schedule. Does that change your feelings at all? You feel pretty good that Dallas has fallen out here?
I think so. I mean,
Minnesota has the sixth hardest schedule.
Yeah, that's a tough. That might change.
But Case, because you have it in front of you, how are the Lakers looking? Not good. Oh no.
Third.
Listener, if you're listening to us on an audio medium, Case just put up a 3.
It just hurts.
Yeah, okay. We have the Lakers have the third hardest schedule remaining in the NBA.
The hardest two schedules belong to Milwaukee and Chicago.
Boston, what's up? My bold prediction looks marginally better.
They're at 8th.
So yeah, I said hot take. Case, what do you sit on the Heat index with?
It's a hot take, but I just want to jump back to Denver really quick. I know it's not about them. Michael Porter Jr. actually was at practice on Thursday, and he was shooting around with the team.
Yeah, he's ready to come back too at some point in the next few weeks.
That's wild to me.
Yeah, because we didn't get an update after that surgery.
I think we got an update. Us has one. We just weren't paying attention because I was under the impression.
Also, where did you find this? Because I literally had to look it up.
So I just I casually do research on these things for fantasy purposes because
yeah, I'm sure you do.
I was looking through the waiver wire and I saw that Jamal Murray his ads were slightly going up. I was like, wow, Jamal Murray's stats or ads going up. So I did some digging in the Denver news media places, and I found that.
Yeah, so I found it on the Denver Post.
Yeah, so that
they're saying Murray's going to be cleared physically, but not mentally prepared, is what they're saying, because it's his first major injury.
I think that just goes to show that Jamal Murray is going to be on the court in the next couple weeks. Let's say 3 to 4 weeks max is what we're thinking here. Because I know he wants to play. He's mentioned multiple times he intends to play. And this basketball team goes from good basketball team to championship contender if Jamal Murray plays. I think we all agree there as well.
Yeah,
100%.
Also, what are your thoughts on the Dallas side of this thing here? And then we're going to move on to the next bold prediction. We're doing bold predictions today.
Yeah. I mean, with Dallas, if there are other guys can step up and make plays, and if Spencer Dinwiddie can be even a somewhat add to their situation, then I think they'll survive and they'll keep their seed.
He's only there for the crypto dog.
Yeah, exactly. I don't have faith in that. So I don't think it's going to happen.
Spencer Dinwiddie, you know what sucks is I really did think Spencer Dinwiddie was going to come back and look pretty good. He's not been good since the recovery. But the one thing I will say, Kay, is historically with ACL injuries in basketball, we've learned it's an 18-month comeback. Right. And Dinwiddie could potentially be the 18-month comeback, right? We've seen it time and time again. That first little bit when you're back, you're still not right. It takes a good bit to get that back for most guys.
But it's been half a season.
Well, yeah, but that's what I'm saying is it's not been a full season. I'm talking 18 months from when he starts playing again. I'm trying to pull up some fun stuff right
You're
here.
talking 18 months from return to play?
Yeah.
Or 18
I think so.
months from injury.
No, I think I think once you start playing, you're another 12 to 18 months out from being yourself again. I think we've seen that multiple times in the past with guys who tear their ACLs.
I mean, Levine came back from his second one.
Yeah. I feel like recently people have been able to bounce back from it pretty quickly.
Maybe you're right. Maybe Dinwiddie just sucks. That's also possible. Let's move on to the next set of bold predictions. So we're going to come right back to you. What's your second bold prediction here? What you got for me?
So I've got this will be a bold prediction, but then it also kind of be an open-ended question for both of you as well. So the two teams that I'm about to say are the teams that I think will make the finals from each conference.
Okay.
So I believe that the Phoenix Suns will make the NBA finals.
I disagree. I think the Los Angeles.
I disagree.
I'm kidding. Continue, please.
So Phoenix Suns coming out of the West, and the Philadelphia 76ers coming out of the East.
Oh, go fuck yourself.
Okay,
Yeah.
I knew this was the reaction I was gonna get, but here's why.
He doesn't love you. He doesn't like you guys. He doesn't love you. He broke up with you. He literally got fat and quit. He got fat and quit on your team, on your franchise.
And then went to a different team, got tired of them, got fat and quit again.
He's not fat. He's not fat.
That's a fat suit, we know, but it's fun to say.
This is a sad defense of James Harden on your part, Asad. Let me tell you something, okay? Shout out to my boy Vala if you're listening right now. Vala asked me the other day, okay, if James Harden and Joel Embiid were the best guard big man duo since Shaq and Kobe, okay? And Vala's, by the way, not the only person. I've heard a lot of Houstonians are big time. They're like, love this. Can we see him play basketball first? Can we see them play basketball first? How about that? Before we just crown them this best duo since Shaq and Kobe, who won 3 championships together and went to 4.
That's fair.
What the hell are we doing? We haven't seen James Harden and Joel
That's
Embiid
fair.
play
No.
basketball.
That's 100%
No,
fair.
but you're putting him in the finals, which is
Here's-
nonsense.
Here's why. I know it's a blazing prediction, but
It's everything Asad is about to say.
It's not even blazing, it's asinine.
Everything Asad is about to say is about to be made up. You know why? Because we haven't seen him play basketball together. You can't defer anything from this.
the reason why I'm picking them is because I think for James Harden, for his career, and you talked about this after the Brooklyn trade, right? That he was in a good situation and now he goes to a completely different. We can argue whether it's better or it's worse, but I mean, he's not playing with 2 all-time greats. Now it's just one, but he's playing with an MVP now who's been available at least for the last 2 years. I think this is the end of the window. For Harden.
Okay.
If I think that with this move and now him opting into his player option, he is now 32 years old, 31, 32 years old.
Something like that. Yeah.
If he does not do it in this window, I think it's going to be it'll be hard for him to win a championship as a star player. If he goes and becomes a 6-man or becomes like a bench player at like the tail end of his career and kind of hops onto a team to win a ring, I think it's different. I'm meaning more in terms of being the star player, being the point guard, being the facilitator of the offense that he's been for the last 7-8 years now. I think that this Philly stint is going to be the last chance. So that's why I'm saying that this is it. That if he's going to do this, it's going to be now. Otherwise, it's not going to happen.
But what does that have to do with the making the finals?
Does he have the same urgency as you do?
I mean, that's actually a really good question.
I hope that's what drove the move. That he really thought that
No,
it wasn't going to happen.
what drove the move was exactly what I said over a year ago. Kyrie is going to fuck shit up, and Kyrie fucked shit up. The only bright side on the Nets situation was Harden left a week before they announced that they were going to loosen mandates.
Look, the fact of the matter is the way that fans of the Rockets and fans of James Harden, which extends further than the Rockets in many cases as well, the way you guys, that group of people, view and talk about James Harden is infinitely different than everybody else in the NBA. Okay? His peers don't like him. Who the fuck is going to introduce him to the Hall of Fame? Name one teammate that will do that for him at this point. I don't fucking know.
Daryl Morey.
Name a coach. Don't know. It's just the GM, right? It's just Daryl Morey. Nobody seems to like him.
Mike D'Antoni.
Does he like him now? He just ran out of freaking Boston.
I mean,
Brooklyn.
D'Antoni's not even in Brooklyn.
Is he not there anymore?
He's a consultant for the Pelicans.
He fits New Orleans to me, actually. I take that back. I kind of like that.
Yeah, that's
D'Antoni
why
always gives me Pringle Man vibes, like Pringles like chip.
That's why Brooklyn has been extra ass this year, because Steve Nash actually doesn't know how to coach, and last year was D'Antoni.
All right, I'm gonna stop you right fucking there.
You mean they were like basically a top 2 team until Kevin Durant got hurt and Kyrie can't play? Shut the fuck up, Leslie. Come on, they've been a good basketball team. Kevin Durant got hurt. By the way, the thing that you said about there's an MVP. 2 months into the season, Kevin Durant was an MVP candidate, and then he got hurt. Otherwise, we'd still be talking about Kevin Durant in the same sentence as Joel Embiid and Jokic.
I don't think James would have left if Kevin was healthy.
Yeah, I don't think. Look, James Harden, like I said, the way that you guys, as in Harden fans and Rocket fans, speak about James Harden is very different than everybody else. I will say, Kays and I don't like Harden more aggressively because of how much you love him. I will say that. Right? It's like we have to be the equaling force in that conversation. However, I don't believe that he's a winner. I don't believe that he's a hard worker anymore. I don't believe that he actually is a superstar in the NBA anymore. But I do believe all three of those things he thinks he is. And I do believe that you think he is all three of those things. But I don't believe them. And you know what matters? I don't think James Harden's going to fucking work hard. You got 20 games to make it work with an MVP who touches the ball more than most players in the league. He's like third in touches in the league, right?
Yeah.
Now we're going to take away touches from that guy, and we're just going to assume that James Harden's going to be good based on what?
I mean, with the way you're saying it, you make it seem like James Harden wasn't good in Brooklyn.
No, he was good in Brooklyn, but the offense was different in Brooklyn. The offense was complete. He has to now work with one of the highest.
The Brooklyn offense is not give the ball to Embiid and sit there.
Exactly. The whole game plan. Look, the one thing I've heard on multiple basketball podcasts, this is obviously not directed towards you, us, because you've not said this, but I've been listening to, we all three of us, and including Shaban, we listen to a countless amount of hours of basketball podcasts a week. Listener, if you didn't already know that, now you do. Many of them talk about the great pick and roll relationship between what James Harden and Joel Embiid has never been a pick and roll guy. He's been a pick and pop guy when it was Ben Simmons, right? He's not been really a pick and roll guy. James Harden's entire bread and butter when it comes to pick and roll has been with rim running centers like Clint Capella, right? Or something like that. Or Russell Westbrook when he played baby center and it worked really well for a little bit. But my point is, Joel Embiid is not the pick and roll partner that everyone says he's supposed to be. Joel Embiid is an offense in his own. And by the way, James Harden is also an offense in his own. They are create your own system around these two guys play. How they work together, I don't know. I think it'd be great basketball if they work together. But if you're going to make me bet in the next 20 games, I'm not talking a full season, right? We're not talking all next year. In the next 20 games, they're going to figure it out. And they're going to figure it out so much that they end up in the NBA Finals over the Milwaukees of the world or the Chicagos of the world or the Miamis of the world. Yeah, no, I bet the house that that's not going to happen in the next 20 games. Next season, maybe. The next 20 games, no chance in hell I would bet on that. So no, this is more than Blazin in my opinion. I think you've broken the scale. I genuinely don't. I don't have any, because we've dictated other things to be Blazin. This is the hottest take of the night. I would be beyond shocked if they went to the NBA Finals this NBA season. Case, do you have anything to add to that?
Let's go back to the first thing I said. This is asinine. Listeners, if you don't know how to look what that means, look it up. ASISINE, asinine.
I swear I thought you were about to say ASS-A9. I swear I thought you were going to say that.
I know how to spell. I'm Indian.
I was so ready for it.
But now, fuck this take. I don't know where you got this.
Well, that I want to come back to.
I can live with.
Phoenix is fine. I can see that.
Yeah.
But
Philly?
Also, do me a favor and try. Let's daydream for a moment. Let's do the Houstonians' wet dream, the one that you guys are all dreaming about now, right? What actually does a James Harden, Joel Embiid finals appearance offense look like? Just off the top of your head. I'm not going to hold you to everything you say because I've absolutely sprung this on you, so I don't expect.
Yeah, no, it'll be a couple different things. So obviously the way they do pick and roll, there's going to have to be some adaptation to that. Embiid, like you said, has not been a rim runner, so he's going to have to add some element to that, which I think he can because he's a behemoth of a human being, and people have trouble stopping him when he's in the post. Like now, imagine him running, full steam ahead at you is tough to ask.
I don't think he's that kind of runner, but I asked you a question. So
I don't either. He was more of a lumber.
He's kind of like a big, bruly man. But anyway, I did ask you a question. I have to let you finish. Go ahead. Sorry.
So, I mean, like you said, we don't know. We haven't seen it.
You, Case. You said fucking fee-fi fo-fum. You are 25. You are 25 years old. Sorry, continue.
So the pick and roll part, I mean, you're right. We haven't seen it. The pick and pop, I think they can do, and I'm sure that's going to be a big piece to that because Embiid can step out, shoot the three, and shoot mid-range shots as well. The other thing is when you have two ball dominant stars like this, you're going to have to stagger them. So, James and Embiid, they're going to start games together. They're going to finish games together.
Does
But
Doc Rivers have a history of staggering his best players? Just
he's gonna have to. Otherwise,
he should have
He's
in
got
LA.
a history of blowing 3-1 leads.
He should have in LA. He should have in Boston. Doc
Yeah.
Rivers does not have a history of being a good NBA coach.
fair. So that I mean that's
He
a
just
piece of-
traded his son-in-law, bro. Like, come on.
Also, yeah, that's fucking bullshit. But anyway, continue. Continue.
Now I mean that's Daryl winning his BFF James. With James and Embiid, you're gonna stagger them, so have each of them play with either have James play with the bench or an Embiid play with the bench at different times, and have them maintain that centric offense that you were talking about, where where Harden completely runs the offense, and then when he's out, Embiid will run the offense. The together stuff, they need to figure it out. But when you have two really, really good NBA players, that I think that they will figure it out. And that's what I'm banking on with this prediction, that you have somebody the caliber of Joel Embiid, who should be an MVP of this league, and Harden, who has been an MVP of this league. I think that they can figure it out.
I would like to remind you of a conversation similarly that we had, like Kay's so affectionately said 1 year ago, in which we banked on the Brooklyn Nets with those three guys going to the NBA Finals and potentially winning one over the next 3 seasons. They only played 16 basketball games together in a calendar year. So banking on talent, although fair in many ways, does not necessarily lead to, one thing is I've learned banking on Harden comes up short every time. And until he proves us wrong, unfortunately, that's kind of where you're left, because you can't be like, oh no, he's fallen short every time, every single time. And so that's why I'm not going to bank on Harden making it work or figuring it out in the next 20 games. And like I said, next season could be a whole nother story. And we could have a legitimate conversation about how good a basketball team they could be next NBA season, assuming a lot of different things. The other interesting point I want to bring up to you is obviously Joel Embiid has been the best basketball player on the Philadelphia 76ers among the league as well. Who's been the second best player on the Philadelphia 76ers this year, in your opinion? I think this is a clear answer, but maybe I'm wrong.
It's Mathis.
I'm sorry, who?
Tybo.
Oh,
Mathis. I think I'm leaning Tobias Harris.
Interesting. So we've got 3 different. I think it's been Tyrese Maxey. I think Tyrese Maxey has been a huge reason why this team has done success, besides the hugest reason or the biggest reason, which is Joel Embiid. I think Tyrese Maxey has been the second best player on this basketball team. And I have it in front of me that his usage rate is 3rd on the team behind Tobias Harris and Joel Embiid. And his usage rate is 21.5%. My assumption would be that's going to go down a pretty big margin now that James Harden will likely be the point guard of this basketball team.
I still think Tyrese Maxey starts. I think that starting 5 will be James Harden, Tyrese Maxey.
Really? We're going Tyrese Maxey as the starter here?
Yeah. I mean, I guess they could go big and go Danny Green, Tybal, Harris, Embiid, but I think maybe Maxey does get moved to a 6-man role to have more ball handling off the bench. Maybe Maxey will play with Embiid in the second unit more. I don't know how Doc Rivers is going to do his rotation, but
losing Seth Curry does suck for this basketball team.
Oh yeah, definitely. That's definitely
Curry. Like having Seth Curry on this team would make Harden and Embiid better, because they have one of the best 3-point shooters in the league and one of the most consistent guys. So that sucks. Anyway, like I said, you've broken the scale. We've gone well past Blazin, in my opinion. Kays, I think you agree with that sentiment.
Yeah.
Okay. And I think Kays is ready to move on. So Kays, what is your second bold prediction?
All right, let me grab my notebook because us that kind of threw me off here.
Fair enough.
So give me a second.
Fair enough.
All right. I'm gonna go with a medium-ish take.
By the way, hold on. Before we move on, when Philadelphia loses in the first round to the Boston Celtics or something, I'm gonna laugh at you on the podcast. I'm letting you know now.
Yeah,
okay?
I mean, I knew what I was getting into. I'm committing. I've committed to this take. So
look, I will admit you make the podcast better simply by being here and giving what you do every week. But you also make it better because you allow Kays and I to come after your neck on your Harden fandom. He doesn't love you, and he hasn't loved you in many years.
That's fine. I'm
is
aware.
Is it fine? Because it sounds like it hurts a little bit.
I just want him to win a championship for his career, for as great of a player that he is and has been.
He's already a top 75 guy. It's okay. That's as good as it's gonna get. He's a top 5 shooting guard in history. That's okay. That's a good place to be, isn't it?
No, if you don't have a ring, you're always cut short in arguments, and so I want that to be over.
Fair enough. But he's never cracking the top 3 on shooting guards all time. Ever.
Sorry, he's not.
Ever.
Yeah,
not the way his career is played out. Yeah, it's too late.
I agree.
It's too late. Anyway, Case, sorry about that. But you got your notebook now? Can we run it?
Yeah, I got it.
Do it. What you got?
All right, so it's a 2-parter.
Okay.
1, I think the Warriors are going to finish the season as the 1 seed. And 2, I think they're going to win the NBA Finals. Stunned silence.
Yeah, I would like for you to finish your thought. I'd like for you to finish the conversation.
I think after All-Star night, where he made 17 fucking threes, Steph Curry is going to find his form again. Klay Thompson's back. Wiseman will be back on next Thursday, or not even Thursday, next Wednesday. He's going to get back into the groove of things. Phoenix no longer has Chris Paul, which I do think they're going to drop a bunch of games, just trying to figure out the movement without Chris Paul. And I think that gives the Warriors enough space to catch up. And then, just with Draymond coming back, like us had said earlier, that defense gets better. Wiseman back, they get a lot bigger at the 5 spot as well. And I think it's scary. And I think they're going to go for it and win.
Well, Asad, would you like to go first? I did have a lot to say on the last one.
Yeah, let me
go heat index first, and then make your argument.
I think this is a hot prediction.
You're nice. You're very nice to him.
The reason why this entire prediction, in my opinion, hinges on Draymond Green. If Draymond Green is healthy and is back within a week or 2, then it's possible that the Warriors could make the number 1 seed and they could win the championship. If Draymond Green is not healthy and is still struggling with his injury, there's no way in hell that this is happening. That's what I think this comes down to. And in terms of, to your point of the Phoenix Suns losing games, they'll lose some, but Monty's a hell of a coach. This team is a really well-oiled machine. Devin Booker has shown that he can be a playmaker in the past because he did it without Chris Paul before. And I think he's learned a lot from Chris Paul. Chris Paul has made Devin Booker a much better player. So I have no reason to believe that D-Book cannot carry this team for the next 6 to 8 weeks on his own.
It's not a slight to D-Book in any means. Like, I just think without that general on the floor, it's harder for them to adjust on the fly.
Sure, which is why they'll lose some games, but I don't know if it'll be enough to knock them off.
I didn't say they'd finish the season 10-13.
So
I'm just saying.
Here's why this is an absolutely blazing take. Short of Asad's last take by a margin, but it is absolutely blazing. Okay. Here's why. The Phoenix Suns have currently played 58 games as we record this podcast, which means they have about 25 games left in the NBA season, 24 games left in the NBA season, right?
Yeah.
They've lost 10 games all year. So basically what and the Golden State Warriors, who sit behind them, are 6.5 games behind them. And they also have 23 games. They actually have one less game than Phoenix has left. Phoenix would have to lose as many games in the next 24 games as they have all season so far for Golden State to jump them at this point. Because Golden State's not going undefeated. I think we understand that, right? They'd lose a couple of games here, which means Phoenix probably has to lose 9 or 10 games in the next 24 games that they have not done in 58 games this NBA season so far. The likelihood of that happening is ridiculous in my opinion, right? I like that you brought Super Hot Fire, and I think it'd be really cool if Draymond came back, but a week or two means another 5, 7,
10
6,
games,
maybe 10 games, which means 23 games becomes 15, 13, 12 games. The likelihood of this happening is, I would put it at like 2%, like legit that low, which makes it a blazing take. I don't think that Golden State will jump them. However, if Draymond does come back and Draymond does look like Draymond, they have a I mean, they become finals contenders right now. As the team stands, they are not finals contenders. They are a very good basketball team. I don't think they win the NBA Finals without Draymond Green. I don't think many people would argue against that right now.
No, I don't.
Offensively, they're great. Defensively, they're a fucking sieve. So
even offensively, I mean, they've struggled. I mean, Steph has had his struggles of getting.
Steph's been cold. Steph's been cold.
But Draymond's ability is what gets him his reads, gets him such really clean looks. And now, and without Draymond, Steph has not been able to do that. And I don't think that will change until Draymond comes back.
I think he's probably somewhere in the middle of what you and I are talking about right now, right? He's probably not insane MVP, but he's not this cold version that has been kind of bad for the last month and a half or so. The All-Star game tells me that he's probably back. Maybe not just 16 threes in a game, but
it is the All-Star game and he's got a lot of open shots.
Yeah, I don't expect him to hit 16
last 10 to get the record, but that's
I'm saying I don't think he's going to hit 16 threes in a game, but I also don't think he's going to have nights where he misses 12 or 13 attempts from three in a game anymore. I think he's probably feeling a lot better than he was before. So, yes, this is a Blazin take because the Suns would have to double their loss number that they've done so far this season. I don't see that happening. Even if Chris Paul doesn't play for the remainder of the regular season, I don't see that happening. Fair? And it's fair. Kays, every time you hate on the Suns, it kind of blows my mind because you grew up like such a Steve Nash like stan, right? And now you're like, fuck the Suns, every day and twice on Sunday.
It's because of Chris Paul. I hate Chris Paul.
I still don't understand it. He's the point guard. He's one of the greatest point guards in history.
That's fine. I agree. I don't like him.
Well, fair enough. I guess your take is fair because I feel the same way about James Harden, right? Like, yeah, he's one of the greatest ever. I still don't like him. Anyway, I have my last. This is my last one. I don't know if you guys have any more after this, but this is my last bold prediction for the remainder of the NBA season. And I'm pretty certain you guys are going to give me a lot of shit for this one, but I'm willing to talk about it. The bold prediction is the Pelicans will make the play-in. They will make the play-in. They currently are 12th in the West. They're 2 games out of the 10 seed. So they need somebody to fall out. Here's kind of why. Since CJ joined, they're 1-3. They've not won basketball games, unfortunately. However, before CJ joined, they had the 25th offense in the league. They were 25th in the entire league, scoring 109 points per 100 possessions. Now, in the 4 games, again, very small sample size, but since CJ has joined, they have the best offense in the entire NBA, scoring 122.4 points per 100 possessions. Brandon Ingram looks better. CJ has been really good. The rest of the team has been better. Overall, as you can see, they're having more fun playing basketball. This is a good basketball team on the offensive side of the ball. And on defense, now, finally, they have a plus defense, offensive defense margin. They are not giving up more points on the defensive end as they are scoring on the offensive end. It's finally flipped for them and gone the other way. Now they're scoring 2 points more on offense than they are on defense per 100 possessions, which is a pretty good indicator for they're a little bit better. Well, offensively, they're significantly better. But as a basketball team, they finally flipped it, and those tend to lead to winning results in basketball games. So the Pelicans are making the play-in. I don't know if they're going to make the playoffs, but they're going to make the play-in.
We've had quite a range here. We've had from Blazin to my, I guess, out of worldly to this, in my opinion, is a very mild take.
Really? Okay. Well, it means you must agree with it.
Pepper, like if you think pepper is spicy, mild type take.
Why is it so mild?
Because the two teams that the Pelicans have to beat out to get into the play-in are the Portland Trail Blazers, who have literally no one, who have gutted their entire roster.
And they're winning games.
They're still winning games.
Yeah, but I don't think that's sustainable at all. And the San Antonio Spurs, who have DeJounte Murray and scrubs. The New Orleans Pelicans have 2 star players now in CJ McCollum and Brandon Ingram, and a very quality big man in Jonas Valanciunas. So there's no reason. I think that the Pelicans made this move. Obviously, they want to try to appease Zion and try to get him to stay. That's a whole other thing. There's been some drama about that, which we can maybe get into after this. But they went and got CJ McCollum, and I don't think that if the Pelicans do not make the play-in, I think that would be a failure for this season, because I think they definitely have all the potential to do that.
The season is a failure for them, just period, based on all the nonsense that's gone on. Here's the other little bit that makes this maybe a little bit more than peppery mild, maybe a little bit of buffalo sauce on that baby. New Orleans has the 8th hardest remaining strength of schedule, while the two teams you're talking about that they're competing against, San Antonio is at 15th and Portland has 29th. They have the 2nd easiest schedule remaining in the entire NBA. So that gives you some context as to why that would be a little bit harder for the Pelicans.
The one thing I'll add about Portland that we found out today, that Yusuf Nurkic is now going to be out for a month due to plantar fasciitis. And like, I think he was their best player that was remaining or I guess it's to Anthony Simons, but Nurkic was their second best player.
Yeah,
and now they don't even have that anymore. And I don't think they have a big man on their roster. I went to go see who they played. And there were all these dudes that I had never heard of that were on their bench.
The who's who of the NBA is not in Portland, unfortunately.
Yeah, so that's a big injury for Portland, and I think that one of the reasons why I don't think that them keeping the 10 seed is sustainable at all. The Zion thing is interesting. If you guys heard about it,
is it interesting or is it fucking depressing? Because I think it's depressing.
It's a little bit of both.
Yeah. So to give you guys some background, listeners,
it's depressingly interesting.
Yeah. So JJ Redick, who played in New Orleans, was a teammate of Zion's. Came out
last NBA season.
Yeah, right before he retired.
Well, JJ Redick didn't play last year.
2 years ago, 2020, right?
No, it was last year.
He sat on the bench. He was on the team.
But he was on the team and then got traded to the Mavs right before the deadline.
And then
he was really pissed off about that whole thing.
Yeah, and then
he definitely was on the Pelicans last year.
Yeah. So JJ Redick, former teammate of Zion, came out and said that Zion, has had this history of when you have as a star player, you have a responsibility to do certain things as an athlete. And Zion has failed to meet that threshold multiple times. And he even talked to Zion about that. And CJ McCollum, who was recently traded, there was a news report that Zion had not reached out to CJ at all.
It wasn't a news report. CJ said it himself when asked about it.
Yeah, in an interview.
Yeah. During All-Star Weekend, he was like, "Have you spoken to Zion?" And he was like, "No, Zion has not called me. I have not spoken to Zion."
And when this all came out and there was a whole media storm about it, then we found out, I think yesterday or 2 days ago, that Zion
finally called. Yes.
Yeah.
Now, why? Also, tell the listener real quick, why is it a big deal more than other players in the NBA that CJ McCollum was not called by Zion? More than other players. If it was somebody else, it would be weird, but not as weird as CJ. Why?
I mean, you're getting a star player.
What is CJ's role outside of his basketball play?
Isn't he? Oh, is he?
He's the president of the Players Association.
Yeah. I forgot about that.
So not only did you not call this guy who's a star or at least all-star caliber player who's meant to come help your team make the play-in or playoffs, he's also the president of your Players Association, and you didn't call him.
I keep thinking it's Chris Paul. I forget that. It's not
Chris Paul stepped down. Now it's CJ.
Yeah. But
that's the mind-blowing part.
Yeah, I forgot about that piece.
That's what blew my mind when I was like,
as a franchise cornerstone. Yeah, as a franchise cornerstone, you have a responsibility to do certain things and be a leader and step up. And Zion failing to do that, and the work ethic, this does not seem like he even wants to be on the court and play. They sent him off to Portland after he was eating too many beignets. And it wasn't, it was getting big and was not working out due to his foot injury. I'm putting air quotes around it.
And now they're saying second surgery. So who fucking knows?
It just seems like a very messy situation.
And I will
not a good look on Zion.
I will add to the messiness of this situation really quickly. Kays, so listener, just for some background, around this time is when NBA teams send out emails to their season ticket holders to renew for next year, or for prospective guys or girls who have been to multiple games. They're like, hey, become a season ticket holder. Case, have you seen the emails the Pelicans sent out?
Yeah, I have. It's fucking hilarious.
I will read this to you. This is the New Orleans Pelicans asking to renew for next season, which one would think that Zion would be healthy by next season, hopefully. Let Pelicans 2022-23 season ticket plans be there for it all. Led by new head coach Willie Green and players Brandon Ingram, Jonas Valanciunas, and CJ McCollum. The Pelicans are building. They didn't fucking mention Zion. They didn't mention him in the ticket renew. If I'm trying to sell tickets, wouldn't I want my franchise cornerstone?
Correct me if I'm
the
wrong.
email.
A couple months ago, we saw tickets for what, $2 to a Pelicans game?
Yeah, the New
Yes.
Orleans Pelicans the market has been really bad, especially with
I wonder why.
because Zion was the main attraction. When Zion was playing and they drafted him, the market went crazy. You know, the New Orleans Pelicans were a significant road draw in the league, which has rarely happened, but because of Zion. And that's the amount of the impact that he has on the league. And for all of this to be happening and him not even being on the season ticket renewal notice is very bad.
This is the first time the Pelicans have publicly not mentioned Zion, right? And I think that's a damning admission that they kind of see something that we maybe not understand yet, but he's not checked in with the team. He didn't call the president of the Players Association, who was traded to help him do better. He obviously, JJ had a lot to say about him on the podcast a few days ago when JJ had his episode. And now this season ticket holder email, it's not great. And through all of that, the Pelicans will make the play-in, which is my bold prediction is better than freaking salt and pepper. I want a mild buffalo sauce at minimum, Asad. Come on, it's a shit show in New Orleans.
They got 2 star players. They should be fine.
You can buy a McDonald's value meal for the same price, actually, for more money than a ticket to a Pelicans basketball game right now.
That's rough.
Yeah, no shit. Case, what do you think about my supposedly freezing cold take here?
It's a medium.
You know what? I'll take it. I will take it. That's better than salt and pepper.
Because look, it's not impossible to say that they can't jump that 2 games because Portland is bad. They are out Nurkic. And the Spurs, while they are good and extremely well coached, they're going to drop games. And I think the Pelicans will only get better as CJ acclimates more to the team, as Brandon Ingram gains more confidence with CJ's output, and Valanciunas is always fantastic as well. So I don't think it's a crazy take. I also don't think it's salt and pepper, but it is a possibility.
That's all I wanted. I didn't think this was going to be some hot take, but I was hoping for like more than salt and pepper. Now, actually, both of you, when we were prepping for the pod a little bit before we started recording, I said that there was a stat that didn't make any sense to me, and it didn't align with what my eyes were telling me. It was this. It was the fact that in 4 games since CJ's joined the Pelicans, they have the best offense in the league, and yet they're 1-3. They've only won 1 game and still lost 3 games. I don't how do you have the best offense in the league and still have a losing record? And the defense, but I'm saying, but the defensive numbers, they're scoring more than they're allowing the other team to score by 2 points on defense. I don't understand. I don't know if I'm reading the stat wrong or something. I have no clue.
Let's see what
very
happened.
confusing.
Okay, so one of those games they lost was a Luka 49 point, 15 rebound, 8 assist game.
That helps, yeah.
So that's a monstrosity of its own. Let's go back and see what else they lost. They lost to the Grizzlies. Very good team. What's going on here? Balanced effort. 6 guys in double figures. This is bad though. They lost to the Grizzlies without Ja Morant. That game that Morant sat for I think left knee soreness or ankle soreness, like a rest day. Tyus Jones had 27 points and 9 assists on them. So
look, CJ McCollum, defensive mastermind, is not right. we didn't. The Pelicans did not acquire him to be a defensive beast. That is true. But yeah, so I'll read the numbers to you really quickly. Offensively, the Pelicans in the last 4 games are doing 122.4 points on offense, and they're allowing 121.3 points on defense. It's a 1.1 difference, and yet they've been on the wrong side of that more times than not. I don't get it. It's a small
sample size for sure. If this trend continues as we get into this part of the season for the next 10 games,
they should win more.
It's definitely concerning.
They should win more games. The good thing for the Pelicans is they've got a game against Orlando, against the Rockets, 2 against the Kings, 2 against the Spurs, 2 against the Blazers. The teams that they have to then jump above to get into, they'll play them 4 times in the next 20 or so games, 23 games for the Pelicans. And then what hurts my heart, Case. I'm looking at the Tankathon strength of schedule, and you know how it says
That's
easy?
what I was on.
Yeah, it says, you know how it says toughest opponents and it says easiest opponents.
Yeah.
On the Pelicans' easiest opponents, they
It
play
says Lakers.
the Lakers 3 times, and they're considered an easy opponent, which hurts my soul. I can't argue against it, but it hurts my soul. That's where I'm at on that. Do you guys have any more bold predictions before we call it an episode, boys?
I do not.
Asad, you're thinking, you're calculating. You've had enough shit from me today. I know.
No. It was to a point earlier that I made about the Nuggets and talking about Jamal Murray, but this is maybe more for next season.
Mm-hmm.
This is irrational, as you might say, as my other predictions have been. But I think that the Denver Nuggets, if healthy, will make the Western Conference Finals next year.
Next year, yeah, I think that's reasonable. Well, again, it depends on the construction of the NBA, but sure, yeah, that's possible. I don't see why it shouldn't be.
I think that next year is the time where they take that jump. I mean, Jokic has been an MVP.
I mean, look, for what it's worth, it should have been this year, and unfortunately, they've just had injury issues, right? Murray's healthy, Porter's healthy. They could easily be a top 3 seed in the West.
Yeah,
easily, right?
I agree.
Jokic has been ridiculous. One thing I want to talk about, 2 more things before we get out of here today. One thing we talked about last week was our MVP predictions, right? In which, Asad, you were not here for that episode, so I'll give you a quick fill in. I know you listened to it, so it's fine. Myself, Shaban, and Kays picked Embiid. You picked Jokic. At the time, what we talked about Joel Embiid as the clear favorite.
Yeah.
And I kind of don't feel good about having said that a week later.
So I'm glad you brought this up because
I don't feel great about having said, I don't think I think it is his to lose.
Yeah.
Because if the NBA ended today, I think that he would win it. But I don't think clear favorite was the best way we could have attacked that. Case, what are your thoughts on that? And Asad, you can jump in after that. You kind of see where I'm coming from, Case?
Kind of, but I do think he is the clear favorite to win.
I don't know if he's clear because I just think that it's a 3. I think it's a 3-horse race, and it's close.
Yeah,
I think it's quite close.
So had I been here, my defense was going to be one that the roster that Jokic is playing with. I mean, he's missing his 2 best other players. He's playing with 36,000-year-old Jeff Green, Aaron Gordon, Monty Morris, and Will Barton. Compared to that, to the Sixers starting 5.
I would not argue the roster is significantly worse in Denver. It's worse, but it's not significantly worse. We did not know Tyrese Maxey at the beginning of the season would be the Tyrese Maxey we got.
Yeah, but even then, you still have Seth Curry, Danny Green, or Matisse Thybulle, and Tobias Harris, who's still a star.
Respectfully, you did not just say Danny Green's name. I get where you're going, but don't you dare bring up Danny Green. Come on, man. You're smarter than that. Don't bring up Danny Green's name.
But even then, the other thing about the MVP is now with the addition of James Harden, I think that hurts Embiid's MVP.
It could potentially,
forward.
Yes.
Yeah, because I mean, Embiid's just not going to have the ball in his hands as much anymore. And Jokic is carrying this team to they're a 6 seed, maybe potentially 5 seed based off of my predictions, right? So that's why I think this race is a lot closer than you guys made it seem to be.
I think so too. I think when I went back and I thought about it more, I think that I oversold how much Embiid is in the lead. I think, like I said, if the NBA ended today, he would win it. The season ended today, he would win it. But to say he's a clear leader, I think was a bit rash. And by the way, I actually think that Giannis has the best chance to close the gap with the remainder of the NBA season.
I would agree with that. I mean, their bench is completely depleted. They don't have they traded away Dante, and now Pat Connaughton got hurt.
He's out for a while, right?
For at least a month. Bobby Portis was on the bench, but the Brook Lopez injury has made him start. So they're not deep at all. So if Giannis can carry them to a top 2, top 3 seed, it could flip. I think that he's got similar, if not better, numbers than his 2 MVP seasons this season. It's one of his best years ever. And the only reason he probably isn't more talked about is, I guess the best way to put it, is because there is still a bit of Giannis fatigue when it comes to the MVP thing. Yeah.
I would guess. I don't know for sure. I got a hunch, because I think that the reason why we said it's an Embiid Jokic situation is because even we don't want to give it to Giannis, even though he did win the finals last year and finals MVP and had a 50 piece to close him out. He absolutely should be in this conversation more so than we did last week, and I felt
It's the
a bit
it's the
off by that.
same it's the same argument that I've had in the past many years with LeBron, right? When LeBron has been
Yeah.
the best player in the league consistently for many, many years.
Mhm.
And the MVP award, it's just warped, right? Where the perception changes. It's all driven by narrative.
Mhm. Yeah.
And if it were to go for actual basketball fit and actual like the impact that it has on the team and how well the team does with or without that player, LeBron should have more MVPs to his name.
I would agree with that overall sentiment. And then the other thing I want to talk about before we get out of here, Asad, you kind of talked about it. You talked about the finals favorites between your ridiculous asinine take of Phoenix, which is fine, and then the 76ers. Just for fun, if you had to choose an NBA champion today, it would be Asad. Who do you think?
Assuming that Chris Paul comes back healthy and his finger's fine, I'm taking Phoenix.
Okay, how about I make this better? I'm going to tell you the odds for these teams. So now let's assume allegedly you're putting money on it. So now you make whatever assumption you want based on literal money you'd be putting on this situation. Now, are you sticking with Phoenix here?
I think so.
Okay. Phoenix is the favorite, plus 425. $100 wins you $425. Kays, what do you think? Besides the Lakers, I know your heart says Lakers. Golden State, they are second, plus 450. $100 wins you $450. I'm going Milwaukee. I think the Bucks are going to repeat. I think that the window in the East is wide open, and the Bucks have the best chance to pull it together than any other team in the East. And I don't really think anybody in the West is going to beat them unless we get a healthy Draymond and Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, in which case maybe we have a conversation. I don't think Phoenix can beat Milwaukee, and I think they proved it to us last year. I think not much has changed for Milwaukee between last year and this year. Milwaukee is plus 700. $100 wins you $700. That's where I put my money personally. So you're about to say something?
I think I disagree with you. I'm curious to go. I think the depth has changed. With Milwaukee, they had George Hill. They had other good bench pieces to support them through last year's run, and that's just completely depleted. And unless those guys come back healthy, it's not going to work.
Yeah, I think one thing that we've learned over the years with playoff basketball is your rotation, your depth matters significantly less. Your rotation minimizes to about 7 dudes. You pick your 7 best guys and you get out there and you go, right? And I can tell that Milwaukee has 7 dudes that are good, right? They've got hopefully Pat Connaughton. Again, you said about a month. There's 7 weeks in the regular season. Pat Connaughton should be back. So we got Pat Connaughton, Bobby Portis, Giannis, Grayson Allen, who's actually been really good for them this year. Chris Middleton, Drew Holiday, George Hill is still there, but I'm not going to bank on him. Wesley Matthews, and one of Serge Ibaka or Brook Lopez, because I'm not going to bank on both of them. If I just count one of those 2 guys, I've got 8 dudes that I just listed. And then we have the other of Serge Ibaka and Brook Lopez up in the air. We'll see which one, if any of them show up, right? That could make it 9 guys if George Hill becomes something of value. Now we're at 10. You know what I'm saying? We only need 7 dudes in the playoffs. They still have 7 pieces, one of which is Giannis Antetokounmpo, right?
Yeah, I mean, he's a champion. He's a league MVP.
He's ridiculous. He's ridiculous.
I wouldn't be surprised if that does end up happening.
Yeah. So like, I get where you're coming from. They're a worse quote unquote team than last year. I just don't know I don't actually think they're that much worse than last year. DiVincenzo was not an influence on the playoffs at all last year, as we know, because he was hurt or coming back from his injury. And so losing him is really not the end of the world. If they can get one of Serge Ibaka and Brook Lopez to be good on defense-ish, I think they'll be going to be just fine going to the playoffs. Plus, I want more minutes at Giannis at center. That's a matchup that literally nobody can take advantage of, except for maybe Joel Embiid, based on if Harden pissed him off that day or not. We'll see. I don't know. I'm still not banking on that. But anyway, listener, I think we've gone on well too long. Case is giving me the wrap-up sign, which is perfectly acceptable considering I've gone.
And
on
I gave it
long.
5 minutes ago.
I know. I get it. Just for fun, the Lakers are plus 4,500. $100 wins you 4,500. So if you're feeling kind of risky, go for it. Or if you're 538, the Celtics are plus 2,800, 2,800 for $100. There you go. Anyway, listener, thank you for listening to another episode of the Waterboy and Equipment Manager podcast. We'll see you next week. See ya.
Later.
Bye.